Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining us this morning here at Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit. I'm Michael. I'm the host of this sit. What am I? What am I? I guess I'm happy to be here. That's what it is. It's the I am is so funny. Uh, I am the host. Does that make everything else the parasite? That doesn't make sense. Maybe I am the parasite. Thanks for joining this morning. I'm Michael. I am the parasite. Here at Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit. Well, pardon me. It is good to be here today. It's a beautiful spring morning here in Southern Oregon. I have a nice warm cup of tea. And I had such a phenomenal evening last night. Um, Angela and I were lucky to get to see, experience Fanafi Allah, the uh, Kawali Sufi music group. They played, they're on tour right now, and they played last night in Ashland, Oregon. So we made the drive over there, and such a wonderful, beautiful experience. And there's so many parallels with this level of devotional music and folk music and like things like punk rock and hip hop, like this extremely high energy. Not that Fanafi Allah sounds like punk rock or hip hop, but there's an energy there. There's an energy that they had. And um, one of the performers was talking about uh, their experience in Pakistan with this music. And there's this particular region where there's this type of music that these five gentlemen were playing last night. And the custom there is to lose your mind, essentially, lose yourself, your sense of self, your idea, your self consciousness, and move your body in this erratic way. And he said that everybody headbangs. He said children, grandmothers, grandfathers, men, women, everyone. When this music starts and the ecstatic dancing begins, and everybody's singing and clapping, and then everybody starts to headbang, and and yeah, it brought some joy into my heart to have that picture, because the energy in the room definitely felt similar to when I came into punk rock as a young teenager, 13 or 14 years old. I think it was 14, um, something like that. And yeah, just there's so many correlations in the ways that we as humans gather and are filled with an energetic spirit of life, right? And that's what it comes down to for me, is this life moves through with such intensity that the body has to move. Um, but even if the body doesn't move, right, the spirit is moving, the soul is moving. So even when my body is still, my soul is dancing. Uh, and that's a different level of devotion, really. It's a different experience of what the Sufis often refer to as the beloved. One of my favorite, one of my favorite terms of anything, a name for anything is beloved, you know, to be loved. Uh, it comes from the word beloved, which means to be pleasing. And so I'm taking it then that the word beloved means the one that you are pleasing. And that's kind of the perspective, the goal of um oops, sorry. Within a lot of the poetry. And oops, sorry, I'm having some technical issues here. That's kind of the purpose of a lot of the poetry in the Sufi traditions is to ways to please the beloved. But the other aspect of a lot of the Sufi poetry as well is separation from beloved. And that is such a poignant place of understanding for me personally. And it really informs a lot of what I do with my time here, my my days, is sitting with the understanding of separation, a separation from the beloved. And that's the word that we use is grief, right? The times that we feel separated from being loved and loving, that's a terrifying, isolating, and lonely time. And I think that that's what we're talking about when we talk about grief is separation, levels of separation, right? Layers upon layers of ways in which we feel separation. And, these Sufi poets, they just dig right in there. It's a feast. Separation is a feast. It's an opportunity for reuniting. And sometimes the only thing better than never being separated is reuniting with that which you're separated from. And that's the sense that I had last night with the music and the feeling in the room. And that's the sense that I have often when I move into this practice with grief, when I utilize the tools that I have, the, the techniques that I have, the tactic of approaching my grief, I feel a reunification. And that's pretty beautiful. But I don't want to shortchange that conversation. I think that's another whole conversation to have. But I did want to play another Sufi poem this morning. Daniel Sperry, musician and artist currently out of Ashland, Oregon, is he was making these videos for some time, and it's quite beautiful. He gave me permission to play them. You can find Daniel on Instagram at Cello Troubadour, and you can also go to DanielAustinSperry.com. That's DanielAustinSperry.com to see all of the wonderful offerings that Daniel is participating in and bringing to the community of Ashland. But this poem that I'm going to play is a Hafiz poem. Oops. Man, this morning is a morning of technical difficulties, apparently. But I quite love this poem, And I just want to make sure that everything sounds good as it comes through. So pardon my lack of professionalism here. Actually, don't pardon it. Celebrate my lack of professionalism here at Journey Home Meditation. This is something to be celebrated. I don't know if it is or not, but we'll see. This is Daniel Sperry reading some Hafiz.
I sit in the streets with the homeless, my clothes stained with the wine from the vineyards the saints tend. Light has painted all acts the same color. So I sit around and laugh all day with my friends. If I feel a divine loneliness, I tear the doors off love's mansion and wrestle God onto the floor. God becomes so pleased with Hafiz and says, our hearts should do this more.
Our hearts should do this more. Yeah, that's definitely such a strange feeling. I wonder what the name of that is. To be experiencing total bliss and at the same time recognizing the sadness of the separation that is to come. There's got to be a word for it. It's probably a word in the Gaelic, because they always have words for things like that. But I was really feeling that last night. Our hearts should do this more. When we can come together and be of service to one another and be of service side by side together to others, I think that that is an opportunity for our hearts to do this more. And by this, I mean to wrestle with God and play and laugh. Because I don't think that there's anything as serious as we're taking it. And I don't think that there's anything that's not able to find its way back into love. It's the separation that is there. Sometimes the separation feels really, really large, right? There's a lot of distance between me and those sensations of love, that feeling of celebration, that play, that childlike abandon, like all of those ways of experiencing life. Sometimes that separation feels really large. The chasm is huge. But honestly, it's only as big as a thought. It's only as big as a thought. It's only as far away as the next breath. And I know that that can seem quite pompous. There's hubris in that statement. But if you've ever seen a child, a baby can go from crying to hysterical laughter to a sense of wonder back to crying in a matter of moments, moment to moment to moment. It can be this flood of different expressions of being. And I do think that there's a lot to learn there. These are the most vulnerable of us all. These babies. These little bodies that can't move themselves to get their needs met, and yet their needs are being met. Because we recognize that in that vulnerability lies the key to openness. And we think we have to lose that level of vulnerability as we grow to protect ourselves. And in some ways we have had to. In a lot of ways we have had to. We've had to learn to protect ourselves, and we've had to do things we never imagined that we would have to do. We had to close our hearts, or we had to use our bodies as weapons, or we had to use substances to get in between me and the pain from the damages caused. But that separation that we feel from ourself, from that vulnerable state, from that place of pure raw connection and play, and it's just a thought away. But we fortify our beliefs, we fortify our thoughts, and we secure ourselves from losing control, because we've mistaken separation for the lack of control. And so we want control of the situation to feel like we're not being separated. But that's not the case. Not always. Very rarely, I think. And I guess there's a part of me that wants to honor that and mourn that and grieve that there's that piece of my survival that relied upon separation. There's that piece of my survival that relied upon closing off and building emotional walls and boundaries, borders, closing myself off from the world. And as I come back into relationship with beloved, right? With the thing that I want to please and the thing that pleases me. Even to say the thing seems to make it trivial. It's not, though. It's a holy thing. But as I recognize that reunification is such bliss, right? I can also recognize that the separation is suffering. And I can learn how to, in the moment, grieve what has been lost and celebrate what has been found. And it really is just a breath away. There's the in-breath, and there's the out-breath. And sometimes there's a space between. And that's all there is. There's the receiving, there's the letting go, And there's that place where we exist in the middle of all of that constant receiving and letting go. So let's take a moment to come into our practice of receiving and of letting go. So if you're seated in a chair, as I am right now, you can have your feet flat to the floor or crossed in any number of positions. Sometimes it can help to put a cushion underneath you to help raise the hips just a bit, allowing you to more comfortably straighten the spine. Let the shoulders relax, bringing the shoulder blades together just slightly in the back. This is to open the chest and to open the heart. Gently allow your eyes to close if you can do that. If you're not able to do that, that's okay. Just allow yourself to bring your awareness inward, because that's where the separation begins and ends. It's all right there. And it's just one breath away. So feel into your heart and your belly as you breathe in slowly and gently through the nose to the bottom of your body. And release. And breathe in. And release. Find your rhythm. Just a thought away. Just a breath apart. Breathing in and let go. Uncling yourself from the shield that you're holding, and the separation will disappear. Just like that. It happens in an instant, but it takes lifetimes to find. So thanks for being here this morning on that path to finding the switch, right? We're all stumbling through a dark room, feeling for the walls, trying to find that light switch. Just flip the switch and it all becomes clear. We just need to find the switch. So I appreciate you all being here this morning. Look into ways to extend and deepen your practice. There's lots of great teachers out there with all different sorts of programs, techniques, methods, right? And there's Kriya Yoga, there's Vipassana meditation, there's walking meditations, there's Carl Jung and the shadow work. There's the Sufi traditions of ecstatic dance and singing and poetry. There's the Bhakti traditions of devotional practices and service. There's even the Christian ideas, and I don't say that to be dismissive, but I think we can all agree that when a pastor of a mega church has a 20-car garage and a $54 million a year salary, there's something has gone awry with that institution. But even some of the on the ground Christian traditions and practices can bring you there. A lot of the Jewish practices, meditation is an important aspect of all of these different traditions. Taking the moment to discover where your separation from God is. That's the foundation of most spiritual or religious practices. And then everything else is just a method to get back there, right? And then we clog it and pollute it with a bunch of rules and policies and procedures, and there's like a spiritual HR department that comes in and, oh, what were you eating for dinner? Well, that's not a proper thing to eat. You lose 4 spiritual points. Oh, you were watching television? That wasn't very God-centered. 2 spiritual points down. Oh, you were meditating on camera and letting people watch you? That's 5 or 6 spiritual points up. Good job. Way to perform your spiritual practice for everyone to watch. Yeah. I am very self-aware of the theater of a lot of our culture. But I also know that a lot of my teachers have come through these very channels. And if I can share these practices, and if we can get others that are a part of this to start to participate, we can create a network of people from wherever using these technologies to assist one another in finding the switch. And that's why I do this each day. It's not for the wealth. or the fame. You know, it's funny. I was just talking to Joe Rogan about this the other day. No, I wasn't. But I think that we're all looking. I think we all spend a significant portion of our internal life looking for that point of separation. And while it is inside of us that we will find it, it is by connecting with one another that starts to shed more light into the room. Right? We are not these isolated islands of existence. And it's through group practices, dancing, singing, chanting, being of service, meditating together, communicating even through the technologies. I mean, why not? Why not communicate there? Why not find ourselves there? Where else could we be? We're going to be everywhere, right? Because wherever we are, that's where we are. Right there. And we're all here because we're not all there. That's one of my favorite sayings. And I'm going to go off on tangents, so I'm going to let this one go this morning. Just spending a moment in reverence. Let's hold this space together just for a few moments. Hariom. Thanks for being here.